Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am the Sipping Tea, and today I'm going to talk to you all about the T100 premium tank destroyer that can be found in Cold War in Era 1. However, briefly before I get into that, I just want to once again say thank you ever so much to my Patreon supporters for helping me out financially so that I can continue to produce these videos. So a very special shout out to Nagier898, NB Hollywood, and of course Tragic Nemesis. Thank you ever so much to all of you who are helping support me on Patreon. It means a huge amount to me and helps me produce these videos. So, with that all being said, let's get into it. So the T100 was part of the Season Pass last time around, so most people no doubt will have acquired this tank. Now I do think that it's somewhat of a divisive tank in that some people love it, some people hate it, and the main reason for that I think is the way that the gun handles. But without sort of going any further ahead with that, we'll address the basic battle earn rates first. So basically, first of all, the gold cost for this tank, if you were to just buy it flat out, no discount, is 9,000, which is below, of course, my own personal sort of 10,000 gold threshold. But nonetheless, I don't think it's really going to be the sort of tank that you'd want to pay 9,000 gold for. That may well be made a bit clearer later on in this video. The battle earn rate. So, silver earn rate will give you an additional 55%, the tank XP earn rate is an additional 20%, and finally the crew XP earn rate is 10%. Free XP earn rate, of course, is just 5%. So, all things said and done, it's not too bad for silver earn rate. In Cold War, I believe I'm correct in saying that the maximum you can get on any tank for silver earn rate is 65%. So 55% is indeed quite respectable. Moving on from there, the gun statistics. So the standard rounds have 302mm of penetration. The premium rounds have 370mm of penetration, and they both do 440 damage alpha. So at this point, I'm just going to show you a few basic statistics on the screen just here. So basically what you're seeing right now is a sort of an overview. You'll see this in the garage on any of your tanks, of course, but this is an overview of the core statistics of this tank. So the penetration and damage, as I just mentioned, are right there to be seen, alongside now the hit points. So the HP 1850. The maximum speed with this setup that I've got here, you can see the equipment down there below as well, is 55 kilometers an hour, and the vision range 537 meters, and still concealment 316 meters. So crew skills and in this instance, of course, equipment will affect some aspects of that to a certain degree, and of course the fact that it's got the camouflage there as well, as you can see. So of course, do keep that in mind. Continuing on the gun statistics, so basically the standard reload here without any influencing factors is 10.2 seconds. The rate of fire therefore is 5.88 rounds per minute, and the aiming time is 2.1 seconds with accuracy of 0.33. Gun elevation is 9 degrees. And here comes the sort of the divisive part of this tank. Gun depression is only 3 degrees. So this tank almost doesn't have any gun depression at all. I mean, 3 degrees is extraordinarily low. There's not many more tanks that actually offer less than that. I mean, I'm thinking World War II, the Bar, for instance, just off the top of my head without researching it. I know that's worse, believe it or not, for gun depression. But yeah, that's sort of the worst aspect of this tank, I would say. However, from personal experience, I would say that you can make it work. if you reverse up a slight hill, or indeed drive down sort of a little divot in the ground, so you'll hold down, then your tank can look up a bit more, and so you know it's not so bad in that regard. I shall briefly address the crew skills. Again, I'm going to include some pictures here for you as well. So the commander that I have on this tank doesn't have many skills. They're a premium commander, so I use my Cold War tanks to train them up. And this being a premium tank, that is what it's doing. So Sixth Sense, Rapid Loading, and Born Leader so far. That's what I currently have at time of recording on this tank for crew skills. So moving on from there, I'm just going to show you a quick breakdown of all of the different armor thicknesses on the tank. So you see sort of the mud guards going back at 6mm, along with a small plate at the top of the turret and a little one sort of towards the back just there. Then you've got 10mm for either side of the gun mantlet and also the fuel tanks as well. The turret ring comes in at 15mm. The tracks, the engine deck and parts of the side of the turret there at 20mm. The final back of the turret just there at 30mm. The gun at 40mm. The bulk of the hull at 45mm, which goes to the rear of the tank as well. Bit of internal armour at the back there at 52mm, small plate at the front at 65mm, a tiny bit at 70, the size of the turret there at 75mm, and finally around the gun mantlet at 90mm. So all in all, I think it's fair to say that this tank's armour is extremely thin. There's no real getting around it. It's also quite a large tank, and that turret is enormous and quite sort of broad, so of course it's going to be quite an easy target to hit, especially from the side. So playing smart and staying safe is going to be your best strategy with this tank, and it's certainly my best advice to you. It is not a tank that's going to be able to lead the charge and be a brawling tank. It doesn't have the armour. The turret traverse is also incredibly slow, and of course the gun depression means that you're not going to be able to shoot down certain parts of an enemy tank if they're face hugging you, so do be aware of that. Moving on from there, I think it'll be important for this tank to mention that it does have a 15% fire chance on the engine, which is up there with the highest percentage. So as you saw with the little image I put on the screen earlier, which was also showing off the equipment, you can see that I'm running the premium repair kit, the standard med kit, and the standard fire extinguisher. I think that's quite important given that extraordinarily high likelihood of the tank catching fire. The equipment that I use on this tank, as you can see on the on that little stack card, events, the advanced loader, and the gun stabilizer. Anything that's going to increase the DPM of this tank is going to be worth going for, I would say. The reload, basic reload at 10.2 seconds is quite a long time really, especially for Cold War. So I figure that really anything that will increase the DPM is going to be on your side, and with the accuracy also being a little bit on the poor side at 0.33, yeah, you want to try and get that reduced as much as you can as well. I think really that sums up the tank reasonably well. In conclusion, I would say that it's a tank that a lot of us got, well, for free, I suppose, given the season pass, or depends if you want to call that free or not. I suppose that depends on which pass you went for. But would I have bought it had it have not been free, if it was just on sale in the shop? No, probably not, to be perfectly honest with you. Definitely not if it was the full 9,000 gold, and to be perfectly honest with you, I think I would struggle to justify it even if it went down to, say, 6,000 gold. If it's a tank that in future appears on, say, a personal offer or whatever at half price, 4,500 gold, I mean, that's not a huge amount of money, so maybe the collectors out there may wish to you know, partake in that sort of scenario. But of course, until that happens, you'll just have to wonder whether or not you'd be willing to pay the full price of 9,000 gold for this tank. So that's it for this video. I'd like to thank you all ever so much for watching. Please be aware of the links in the descriptions to my various other sort of sister sites, if you will. So there's a link there for my Twitch channel, which I am now streaming on quite regularly, Twitter, which is always good so you know when I'm streaming and when a new video comes up. There's a Ko-fi link there as well, which is basically another type of website where, if you wish, you can give me essentially a tip for making the videos. It's a bit like if you go to a I don't know, a bar or a cafe or something, you might be generous enough to throw a couple of dollars or so as a tip, and that's the equivalent of that. And of course, the fourth and final one is my Patreon page, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So, with all that being said, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.